Welcome to Storybreakers, a writing shops podcast where we come up with a brand new story idea off the top of our heads. And if you like it, it's yours. I'm your host, Chris Brennan, and with me today to break story is screenwriter and writing coach, Michael Barmish. Michael, how you doing today?
Hey, Chris, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Great. So this is episode 2 of the new version of Storybreakers. To catch people up to speed, if they haven't known, this is a podcast that I ran a couple of years ago with a colleague, Stevie Ryan. We have 100 episodes on the podcast feed, but now we're also doing it as a video version on YouTube. So we're bringing it back under Writing Chops. And for this go around, we're bringing in Michael Barmish, who you might have seen in the interview, The Screenwriter's Journey, that we also have on our Writing Chops YouTube channel. Check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, welcome. How do you feel about today?
Excited. I have no idea what to expect, so you are my guide.
I shall guide you. So we have 3 options that we normally do when we kick this off. So one of them would be that I can ask you if you have an initial concept that you'd like to build from scratch. This can't be something that you've workshopped in the past. It has to be like a 1 sentence or maybe an idea you had in the shower today. The second option is we play the Storybreakers game, where I ask you a series of multiple choice questions and we kind of create the building blocks that will be the entire story. Or option 3, I dig into my mystery box of story concepts and we have to do one from that box and there's no turning back. So A, B, or C, which one would you like to choose, Michael?
Wow. I don't know. Do I live dangerously and let you choose, or
you might not like the idea.
I know. Let's do the game.
Okay. So we're going to play the Storybreakers game. And before we do, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell as well. Okay. So let's begin. The first question we ask is, what is the genre?
So genre, I would say I'd like to do a kind of mystery thriller-ish story.
Okay. Do you know kind of an idea of what type of thriller? There's like lots of different types of avenues we can go down. Would it be kind of like classic noir detective mystery? Would it be more like a Brian De Palma sex doppelganger surveillance thriller? Would it be more of a neo-noir kind of postmodern concept? Or what kind of thing are you feeling today?
Well, I'm thinking, since I do like to write comedy,
okay,
how about a comedy mystery thriller?
A comedy mystery thriller. Interesting. Yeah. I like it. We can go.
Like way. in the vein of like the old movies like Foul Play, and that's the only one I can come up with off the top of my head, which is really old. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. So then we go into the next one, which is the protagonist. Is it one person or is it multiple people? Like, is this an ensemble piece, or would this be kind of you follow one person's journey?
One person.
Okay. What gender is this person?
Let's do female.
Female. What is their profession?
Ooh, good question. I don't know.
Do you want some? We have a conversation to loosen it up if you like. This doesn't have to all be sitting on your shoulders. So we could have a bit of fun and go straight for something that's very detective-y, like flat out private eye, or a detective or some kind of police official, or we kind of jump out of that area and kind of stick somebody in the midst of a mystery, like make them a principal at a high school or something like that, just kind of like, oh, wow. Yeah. That gives us at least a space where you're immediately putting people into the environment. They could work as a janitor. So it could be a person who starts off with low stakes and kind of keeps pulling this thread until it opens up into a wider world. But there's lots of different avenues we can go for a profession.
Yeah, I would say not a detective, somebody more of an every person.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, do they still have lunch ladies at high schools
Like a
or
cafeteria worker?
cafeteria? Yeah, can you say lunch lady anymore? I don't know.
You
Lunch
might, I don't
person.
know. I haven't been there in a long time. And if I was,
Me,
people would
me
wonder
either. Me
why.
either. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, great. So you want to have somebody who works in a high school cafeteria, basically.
let's go with that.
Okay. Um, is the story related to their profession, or do they just happen to be let's just call them a lunch lady for now. Like, does it happen to connect with their work in the cafeteria of a high school?
I would say not directly with the cafeteria, but maybe something to deals with the setting of the.
Okay. So we can kind of say even maybe the inciting incident could have happened in the cafeteria, but it doesn't all relate around the school itself.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. See, I like immediately it's like, okay, so now didn't know what we were going to get into, but I didn't expect comedy, mystery, high school cafeteria. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't
All
either.
right. Yeah. Excellent. All right. So what kind of decade are we talking about? Because that really affects matters, especially for mystery, because once you add a phone into the mix, the drama is so much harder to cultivate. Now that's why the mystery thrillers were always so much nicer, like from the 90s backwards, because once you give people a
Right.
phone, then you have to inherently go, how do I get the phone out of their hand? Because they can most likely just call somebody or confirm a mystery going, I wonder why John did that. Hey, John, why did you do that? So you have to figure it out. So do you want it modern days, or should we kind of play around with a different decade?
I
Having
guess
it 80s could be pretty fun.
yeah, let's set it in the 80s.
Okay. I say that because we could, like, when you're mystery, there's an inherent kind of bias to going, oh, is it like a classic 50s? And then there's a modern day. The 80s didn't really have too many mystery films, right? I don't really think of that genre in that decade, or am I just misremembering it?
I'm trying to think. Well, I mentioned Foul Play. I think that was in the 80s.
Okay.
But high school was always Fast Times at Ridgemont High type stories. So
they kind of created the frat boy Glassmore College, but that's kind of the era of the idiot high school kids with the hijinks kind of thing, right?
Who graduated and went to Animal House.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so it's set in the 80s, and we're following a cafeteria worker in a high school. Does she like her job?
I would say yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe to kind of give her some immediate friction, it can be something where she is actually quite talented, but people think she's slumming it, like she's not trying. I guess we probably need somebody who is quite competent as well if they wanted to solve a mystery. So one of these people who just enjoys the calmer lifestyle but has a bit of wits about her. She just happens to just enjoy working in a cafeteria.
Yeah, or we can take a look at I would imagine in the like today, women are very much more accepted in the in the world of being a chef. But in the 80s, I'm not so sure that I think women were not quite as respected when it came to like being a chef. So maybe she has some culinary skills.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I don't want to sound sexist. I don't know if I'm being correct, but I know that I think that women in the 80s, if you wanted to be a chef, it was tough.
Well, no, but that's a fun idea anyway that we can play with. That she really likes to cook, and she's quite expert at it. But the height she got to so far is a high school cafeteria. So maybe she's putting out exceptional dishes, and they're like, stop spending so much money and time on this. Just give them the nuggets and get them back to class. You know?
Yeah, or the greasy pizza.
Yeah, that's it. And maybe the palate of these youths is too immature for her cooking as well. So she's putting together some cuisines that she's like, it's really good. Just give it a shot. And they're like, no, it's too fancy. I want the greasy pizza. So she has the people above her saying, just, make a normal, everyday high school dish. And the kids are saying it too. So she's the only one who's like holding her ground and going, no, but this is healthy for you and it's delicious. I understand. Like it caters for multiple attributes. Just try it. Don't deny it. So then let's find out more about this character. Does she have a husband? Does she have a boyfriend? Is she married? Is she single? Does she have a dog? Who are we looking at here?
Good question. Do we want to go with an older protagonist, maybe who has a kid who's a student at the school?
She has a student at the school. That's good. Yeah, I like that. That gives her somebody who can also relate to her in her work environment as well. Because if she didn't, that would be quite isolating. Like, you give her some coworkers, but giving her somebody who is a teenager, make them a bit stroppy in the 80s as well, kind of annoyed at their mom for working in the same place that they go to school. That can always be nice.
Yeah. So that would put her probably like early 40s or early mid 40s. Maybe she's, she's one of these people who goes out of her way to try and look cool because her kid is embarrassed to be seen with the lunch lady as the mother.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So, but she's cool for the 80s though, right?
Yeah.
Is she trying to look cool by looking younger, or is she trying to look cool by looking her?
I mean, I think, nice? I don't know. I was thinking more like, she tries to, be up on music, that her kid would like, but doesn't, but just looks kind of like mispronounces, I can't think of, who was hot back then, but, or maybe she tries to sing.
So she's like, oh, I love Run Dink. And it's like, it's DNC. You don't pronounce it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mick, like when people I remember when I was in Ireland, I was there when it was like year 2000. And these Irish kids were like, oh, I love Dr. Dre and Mick Ren. And I was like, it's MC Ren. And they thought his name was Mick. I was like, it's not Mick Hammer, and they just got that real confused. So I thought that was cute. All right, sweet. So is she a single parent or does she have a partner?
I would say she's a single parent. Yeah.
Single parent with a son or a daughter?
Let's make it a daughter.
Okay, with a daughter in the high school. Is there any conflict that she has in the school itself with people, or does she have like a conflict outside of it? I think probably giving her some conflict right now can help us with her character. And then when we want to insert a mystery into it, that'll probably help us propel her story because we're looking at what she could personally overcome in this journey. That's why we end up doing a lot of talk at the top about who this character is, because that really informs the plot that we're going to invent in a moment.
Yeah. So, we've established that she really wants something bigger than that she's kind of been forced to settle for this job, which is peripherally what she wants. She wants to she'd love to run her own kitchen, maybe her own restaurant, or Yeah, something like that. So
she's doing this job to save for that. Maybe she's got a dream. That's a classic kind of protagonist thing that they want to open up their own business. So
yeah,
she could have a restaurant in mind.
Yeah, but she's also got, a daughter that she has to, because that's the other thing with when you run a restaurant is the amount of time you devote to a restaurant takes you away from family life often. They work nights and, long hours. They don't get home until, 1 o'clock in the morning. So, so there's that. There's the desire to be, because she's a single parent, so she has the responsibility. And yet there's also the desire for something better for herself.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. Did she go on dates, or we're gonna see her going on a date, or we're gonna keep it more kind of in and around the high school and her career and her daughter?
I don't know. Maybe she's got a thing for the gym teacher.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. And so then when we get into maybe plot based, like where are we playing with this mystery? For some reason, like a PTA meeting just kind of jumped into my mind to kind of get a bunch of parents together who are kind of grumbling over a certain thing. And maybe that's where a mystery could happen.
Yeah.
Something like that, like it. One thing too, because she's not a detective or she's not professionally going to be looking into a mystery. Do you think this kind of goes into a crime may have happened, but people didn't know it happened? Like somebody went missing or something went missing, or like, it's like where they're not quite sure if there's even been a crime. So she has to actually expose that this is something that has happened. So it kind of gives her a bit more agency rather than, the police will look after it or they're looking after it. Or maybe somebody got arrested for it and she's like, that's not true. So then she actually has to find who really did it. Just to kind of give her a bit of a purpose behind wanting to solve a mystery, considering she's not a detective or a private eye.
Yeah. Or what if it's something that she's witnessed or she knows about, but nobody really believes her?
Oh, interesting. Like what? Like she saw something in the alleyway when she's taking out the trash?
Well, if we want to tie it to a PTA meeting, maybe there's something kind of going on that she stumbles onto.
That's in and around the parents or the school, you think?
Yeah, the parents. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you get a bunch of them together and some of them could be hatching a scheme or have failed with a scheme. And this is revealed around the high school, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about the high school.
Yeah. I mean, if it was set in Texas, it could be around high school football.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Honestly, why don't we start going that way? But what kind of mystery do we think? Are we thinking murder? Or are we thinking like, I guess something of lower stakes? Like I was going to think of or higher stakes and say, I'm not sure what that would be. Two murders.
Yeah, I don't know about murder. I mean, it could be some plot that could eventually lead to a murder, or maybe she stumbles onto some kind of a plot that puts her in danger if it were to come out that she overheard it.
Is this one of those things where it starts off so small and just kind of grows exponentially? Like there's that old kind of concept that you could sell a pen on eBay and you keep the thing that you got in exchange, you continuously sell. So you keep making more money. So you can start with a pen and end up with 10 grand by just continuously reselling something again and again. You have that in like mystery circumstances where there's this one small, like kind of inconsequential, like affair that she hears about, but then she keeps getting wrapped up into the snowball effect of it just keeps building to something bigger and bigger. She probably doesn't even want to be involved, but she keeps kind of accidentally falling into it until she's in this major political conspiracy where she's like, I don't even want to, I'm the lunch lady. Like, I don't even want to be involved here. What are you guys doing? Like, I don't want to know. Like, actually, her trying to actively get out of it could be funny. Like, I keep thinking that it's a detective-y person who wants to solve a crime. I wasn't even considering this could be someone who's actively trying to get out of it, but keeps falling further into it.
Yeah, I think that could be fun. Yeah, and of course, when she brings the bad guy down, she has to say, "Lunch is served."
Yeah.
It's
just sloppy Joe here. Ruined it for everybody.
The 80s or 9, I guess. Action movies where they've got that one line, hasta la vista, that would be her line.
What was it in Kid Cop? In our screenwriter journey interview, you said that they put some ADR lines into it for a chase scene. That's feeling like getting close.
That we would not use. That was we're getting creamed.
And it was an ice cream van chase, right?
It was an ice cream truck that they were chasing. Yeah.
Right. And we're getting
the bad guys were throwing ice cream popsicles and things at the police car.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Lunch is served indeed. All right, sweet. So I think we're getting very close to this now. We have a lunch lady, a person who works in the cafeteria with aspirations for more of a higher level culinary career. And she has a daughter who goes to the school, embarrassed by her mother working there, and sees her every day. And she's trying to connect with her daughter at school, which always has embarrassing, disastrous consequences. She's trying to keep a low-key life, trying to build up her money for her dream concept of a restaurant. And then there is a PTA meeting one day. Maybe she's asked to cater for it because this might be a way to get a couple extra bucks. And she works in the place anyway. And it's here where something quite innocuous or kind of low key or kind of low stakes happens, and she just goes, "Oh, sorry," and then she kind of walks out of the room and doesn't think anything of it. But that event then kind of just snowballs for the rest of our plot, and like once it kicks off, we just kind of keep going. And this poor lunch lady is just like, when will this, like, I just don't want to be involved anymore. Like, get me out of it. So that's kind of where we're at. Is that a good assessment of it?
Yeah, I think that's a good start. Yeah.
All right, sweet. So that gets us pretty much to our inciting incident, or at least her catering at this PTA meeting. And was there some kind of reason behind the PTA meeting, or was it kind of like a monthly kind of gathering? Or because we could probably play with a reason why they call all the parents together for, it could be a fundraiser, so it might not be something bad. Like we're like, hey, there's somebody who keeps there's some of these students are spraying graffiti everywhere and we really need to clamp down. It could be something like a fundraising activity, or the football team is going to the finals and we need some support. The swimming pool needs a complete overhaul. Like there's got to be some kind of reason for getting them together, or it's just a monthly kind of catch up. Which kind of way do you want to go with that?
I would say a specific reason. I mean, if we're going to go the direction of something with the football team, then maybe it's a fundraiser for I don't know. What would there be a fundraiser for with the football team? New uniforms, or
it could be. I can imagine that. Like how else do they get all these things? Like if it could be new equipment. Like I remember when I was in high school, I didn't play because the equipment was too expensive. My parents were like, here's a basketball, go to the park. They're like, we're not buying you hundreds of dollars worth of equipment for you to quit next week. So it could be something that we could play with. Maybe it's just about trying to get them a trip to the state finals or something, right? Like,
well, you'd have to earn your way to the state finals, but if it's for equipment or uniforms or
maybe the pitch itself, the field is in just awful disrepair. So it's like we have a really good team, but we need landscaping basically to give them the field that they need to succeed on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they've got like a little meter where it's like, help us reach the touchdown, and the little players here, and they're doing an auction of like all the single parents that can basically date each other. So they're doing all these little gimmicks, like auction off tickets to Springsteen, auctioning off each other, and just these kind of things that she's there catering for this event. Maybe brings her daughter too, because her daughter could have gotten in trouble earlier on, and so she's like, you're coming with me, you're joining me at this event because I don't trust you alone. Like, you'll go partying with your friends or go out with that one person that is no good. So I don't know, I just think it'd be kind of fun that she's stuck with a really bored out of her head daughter at this dull fundraiser meeting for parents.
I like that. And also I was thinking maybe she's secretly dating the quarterback of the rival high school football team.
The daughter is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Secretly. So she's she doesn't want anybody to know.
That's nice. Those rivalries are vicious. I remember in Alaska, I didn't know anybody from the other high school, but apparently I was supposed to hate them. And I was like, why? I don't get it. And they're like, oh no, don't. We're Malamutes, Chris. Come on, we're Malamutes. And I was like, I don't. They might be nice. I don't know. And it was like, no, we do not like them. And that's low key. That's not anything like what, like, say, a Texas kind of football oriented community would be about. Like that would be a completely different beast. So I like that. That gives a bit of fun to it. So the daughter is secretly dating the football star from the rivals.
Yeah. Great.
So then let's get into what could the thing be that, what's her name actually? What's the our protagonist's name? So we can actually stop calling her. So actually give her a name,
Let's see. I don't know. How about Billy?
Billy, that's her name. Okay. Yeah. I'm happy with. And what's her daughter's name then? Does she want to give her daughter a bit more of a fancy name to kind of elevate her stature a bit, or would she want to just kind of call her Sandra or a kind of a regular name?
It's a good question. Yes, Sandy or
Sandy. Okay, Billy and Sandy. That's who we're going with. We don't get too deep into these parts because like if you're writing this, you'd go back afterward and kind of try to figure it out, find and replace, and there you go.
Yeah.
So Billy then, she's at this fundraiser at the school. what is the thing that she basically stumbles upon or finds out about? What kind of gets her? What's the spark that ignites the mystery itself?
Oh boy, you're putting this all on me, huh?
No, we can just conversate, but this is the question that we have to answer, basically. I mean, because it could be somebody like she sees two people kissing or kind of sneaking around, like two parents from different children. So it's like, oh, snap, It could be more financially based. I think that gets it's a little drier of a concept and tough to visualize, seeing somebody stealing or something. But you can kind of go over some basics when it comes to deceit, right? Like love and money.
I mean, maybe it's just something that seems not, maybe the whoever the biggest booster is for the football team, maybe she sees him talking to the quarterback of the rival team, who's the boyfriend.
Okay, and he's at this fundraiser.
Well, he's not supposed. No one knows he's there. He secretly shows up.
Okay.
And then I don't know.
To see Sandy.
To see Sandy, but there's also this kind of secretive conversation that she's not sure why he would be talking to the lead booster of the.
What do you mean by lead booster? Like just so
like I don't know, like in I don't know if you ever saw the series Friday Night Lights, but the guy who owned the car dealership was kind of like he was like the lead of all the
fans, kind of investor.
Well, the booster, the boosters usually deal with the the funding. Okay. So, they donate money or they donate something to the team.
Okay. And this person, so basically they're raising funds. They're one of the lead organizers for this fundraiser for their football team. And she goes out and sees him chatting, conversing, kind of plotting with the rival of with their rival, basically the quarterback of rival.
Yeah, she doesn't know what they're talking about, but she's curious why he would even be talking, why they would even be talking.
It makes sense too, because we're going to establish the quarterback first with the daughter, and then she's like, "What are you doing hanging out with him? Like it's not good. Like, and if your friends find out, like you're ostracized from this group, and the daughter can be going, what do you know about this? Just because you work here doesn't mean you understand like what it's like living like as a high schooler, So we can kind of get this information through a bit of friction and conflict interpersonally with their relationship. And then he shows up later to see the daughter, or she thinks to see the daughter, and she's like, "Get out of here." So maybe the quarterback doesn't see the daughter at the fundraiser, but Billy thinks he's there for it, right? So she's like, "Get out of here." And then later, she's taking something into the hallway or the alleyway or kind of disposing of something. And the quarterback is speaking to her high school's biggest fundraiser, biggest contributor or organizer. So it's like, he might be like, so we're like, oh, was he not here to see Sandy? So who I guess then is this organizer, this booster, as you call them?
It would be probably a local business person.
Okay. What gender is this local business person?
Let's make it a man.
Okay. So this older man is like 50 years old, you think, or 40s?
Or maybe he has, maybe he also has a son who's on the football team.
Our football team, Sandy.
Our football team, yeah.
Cool. And so what happened? Like, was it in like a alleyway, or was it in like the hallway, or a bathroom, or maybe in the school? It could be in an open classroom. Like she walks by a classroom door, and there they are talking. I think because once you get them into a place like that, it's like, what the hell are they doing in there? Like that's not like you just had a chance encounter outside. That looks like you guys are meeting quietly for some reason, and they can't like walk away because it's like there's one door to get into this classroom.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be maybe it's like under the football stands, or the gym, or somewhere.
Yeah, well, we can pick.
Yeah, we have to figure out why Billy would go to where that would be and see them.
Yeah, I imagine with a job like hers, she could just be going back to the car to put the trays away or get something else from.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe like like by the football stands or something, or under the football stands.
Okay. And so these two are like hiding under the football stands, a bit of silhouette, but she sees who it is, and she walks. Do they see her then too?
I don't think they do. No, I would say no.
Okay. So they don't see her, but she sees them. And now but you want to keep it more like we don't know. There wasn't really anything. It's just a bit of an awkward moment that she saw, or led to a little confusion, right?
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on what our mystery is. Like if the quarterback disappears, doesn't show up for the game to play against them, maybe they had an argument or something.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So yeah, let's figure that out. Let's figure out what the mystery is then.
Yeah.
So is it a missing high school student? Do you want to go that kind of deep so far, or would it be something with the funds that went missing, or like where we're talking about the ultimate goal, or kind of like the first step that unravels? I guess we want to get to the ultimate goal and work back and work it out.
Yeah.
So this booster, basically, do you think that he's trying to do something so his team wins? Is that like his ultimate goal? Like what he'll stoop to anything for his son and their high school team to succeed.
Is that big enough of a mystery? I mean, or do we go bigger and make it so that the booster is found dead?
I kind of like that. I don't mind if he had the idea that he just wanted to buy off the rival's quarterback to throw the game, but that was the intention, but it went wrong and something worse happened. Because I think I personally think we need some kind of death or murder to justify the story itself.
Yeah, because then you have a really good conflict, because if Billy suspects the quarterback, who is the boyfriend of her daughter, that's a huge conflict there.
Yeah, I like it. So we're saying that basically this mystery is that the booster of the big fundraiser for the high school team, does he go missing and then he eventually is found dead?
I don't know. I think maybe she'd just be found dead.
Okay. and she saw the high school quarterback rival speaking to him
or
that
arguing.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like it. That's very clear. That fits right into that framework. And we've got the relationship friction with her, the daughter. There's some relationship action going on there. Yeah, I like it. So where do they find him? Like we should give them names as well. So we keep saying the rival quarterback. Like, is that Scott?
Sure, that's good.
Yeah.
Scott's good.
And then the person who dies, the booster, because we'll probably keep referring to the booster.
About Ed.
Ed, sure. We'll do Ed.
Dead
Sweet.
Ed.
Dead Ed. I like it. So Dead Ed. So where is he found? Like, she sees them one night and then, that's weird. And then basically goes about her day, probably back in the cafeteria the next day, business as usual, until there's some commotion or there's some kind of heightened conversation. Like, is it the next day that he's found? I feel like it needs to be that kind of quick, kind of something just happened last night.
Maybe he's reported, maybe the wife comes, and maybe, I don't know, maybe she's friends with the wife and he hasn't come home. And so, they go to the police but so he's missing. And then when she comes in to work and she opens up the refrigerator to make lunch for the next day, he's in there dead.
That's funny. So he's been fridged.
Yeah, because everything so far has happened on the high school campus. So,
and it's funny. Do you know that term from comic books, like fridging?
No.
It's I'll get these characters wrong, but basically there was I think it was the in the DC comics, there was a character, a Green Lantern character, I think, and they introduced a love interest, like a girlfriend, and a couple of issues later, she was found dead in his fridge, and people just hated it, and they called it fridging, which is when you introduce a character just to kill them, to give empathy or sympathy to the protagonist. So they call it fridging. So I think it's funny that you stick this dead Ed in a fridge. He's been fridged.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if in the fridge, maybe whoever actually did it saw her watching them and thought that whoever it is could frame Billy.
Okay.
Make it look like Billy is the culprit.
Right.
But why? Why would she?
I don't know.
Unless it's the quarterback that ends up dead.
The quarterback ending up in the high school, the rival high school's fridge is pretty hardcore for high school rivalry's sake. So they're like, dead. Our star quarterback ended up in our rival's high school fridge dead.
Yeah.
Like, that actually feels like a proper feud then.
Right.
So which way should we play it? Should we be Dead Ed or Scott?
I guess we should look at how either one would affect the relationship between Billy and Sandy. So if Scott is dead, then in either case, do we want to have it look like somebody's making it look like Billy is the killer?
We could, but I do think your initial question does. I have no answer to like why that would be.
Yeah.
I think it could have, I don't know. At the moment, I wouldn't think it should be framed for Billy. We could make it work. Like we can have them put something in the dead person's hand in the fridge that's related to her.
Right.
But I think it should be dead Ed, because then you have the daughter defending Scott against Billy. Like, you never liked him, and it's like, I saw him, but you're the only one who saw them that night. Like, why would they be talking? They're probably talking to somebody else. Like, there's relationship friction. You kill Scott, you remove that friction, and you just don't have that. Now we have to build it with Ed, who's not dead, basically.
Undead Ed.
Undead Ed. Yeah. So let's keep dead.
Well,
let's keep Ed dead.
Should we establish some kind of a conflict between Billy and Ed that could lead to at least her being a suspect, if not the main?
Is he the ex-husband?
Oh. I like that.
So there's a complete connection there. The ex-husband who's like left the family and kind of spends all his time on this football team. Like, he's basically just like, he hangs around them, which is really annoying. And everyone loves him because he's doing so much for the community, but he's doing nothing for Billy and Sandy.
Yeah.
So I think it's a complete connection to them. They could have a blowout in the actual fundraiser where she starts arguing with him in front of everybody and storms off. And then later she sees him talking to Scott. Ed ends up dead. And we've seen them fighting that day at the fundraiser. Like, right before he dies, he has this big blowout with his ex-wife in front of everybody.
Right. And then maybe Sandy is really pissed at Billy for embarrassing her. So Billy then goes to look for Ed to apologize or to, or for the sake of their daughter. And that's when she sees the argument.
Yeah.
So it's a little more organic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he ends up in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then we got a bit of local sheriffs and cops showing up and getting a bit gossipy, like, because it's probably a small community, so they probably know these people a bit more. So they don't need to be like, oh, tell me about them. Actually, you have a fun scene where it's like kind of the reverse of getting information, like the sheriff or the detective is telling her about her history, and she's like, no, it's not like that. Like, no, that's gossip, like kind of telephone, like that's not at all what happened, And it's like, so you didn't like him because he left you? No, it's not because he left me. This kind of thing. Like, this is all conjecture that's been gossiped around the community, and she's being grilled as to why her ex-husband ended up in her fridge.
Right. And then Sandy is accusing her of trying to blame her boyfriend to get the police off of her back.
Yeah. Two birds with one stone. Like,
yeah.
She's like, no, I saw, like, but what would they be talking about? Like, he hates them. There's no reason, like, he hates them more than he hates you, which is a really F you to the mother, right?
Right.
It's like, they are his ultimate rival. And she's like, I'm his ultimate rival. She's actually getting annoyed that he would have a bigger conflict with a rival football team than his own ex-wife. She had like a bit of pride in their feud.
Yeah. So what would be the reason? What would be the argument that they were having
at the fundraiser? Is it?
Yeah.
It could be something like he's raising all this money for that team, but he's not providing anything in child support or benefits to them. He says he doesn't have anything. He's strapped for cash, and there he is. Oh, maybe he's bid on one of the single mothers. So, oh, you have money. You have money to go out with Lucy, you know? And he's like, oh, it's for the team. It's always for the team. You know, like it could be simple like that. Like keep it a bit more personable. Again, love and money, right? Like that's usually where the conflicts come from.
Yeah. No, but I meant the with Ed and Scott.
Okay. Well, I think that probably ties into the higher mystery.
Yeah. So what could Ed have done?
What I think immediately is that it may look like a conflict, but they're actually in cahoots. And maybe Ed is about to screw over, like he's planning to screw over the team, like his team, which is like the ultimate disgrace. Like, how dare he? What a villain, which is you wouldn't expect from the biggest fundraiser, the biggest booster of this team. It's his life's joy to do all he can to help this high school team. But we find out later, like he was actually going to, he was going to turn code on them. I don't know why we'd figure that out, but that's kind of where to kind of flip it around and go, that's unexpected. Why was he going to side with them? And maybe the quarterback was having cold feet.
Yeah. I was thinking it was just something, I just thought of something that would be really subversive.
Yeah.
Is that Scott is secretly Ed's son.
Oh, I like it.
And now we have half brother and half sister.
Oh together. Man. Well, we're in Chinatown.
I think maybe that's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was so with you until the whole that's a little tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I took us off I went down a different path there.
No, but that's what you're supposed to do, right? You have to explore these avenues and opportunities. So yeah, but we're trying to figure out what the mystery is. Like who killed Ed and why, basically, is what we're trying to figure out. And it's connected to this one argument with the rival football team's quarterback. That's the clues that we have that we've invented ourselves. So where can we go from here? Or is it even connected to the football team?
I was going to say maybe that's the twist, is that it's not connected. There's something else.
So does he have a car dealership? I know you mentioned that it's a complete cliche, but do we follow that cliche? Or he's definitely a local businessman, right?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Is it with gambling? Was it something to do with gambling where he got into the wrong debt and he was trying to throw the team, or trying to get people to like throw one of the big games?
I think that would be like what you would expect it to be.
Okay.
So maybe it starts out looking that way, but I kind of would like it to be something else.
Yeah. So that could be the mystery as we follow the thread, as we pull this thread. It starts looking like Ed was trying to convince Scott to throw the game, but Scott didn't want to. So there's an easy argument that you have. And then Ed was also in debt, and turns out, and so we're following that path. Like that's kind of the logic of the narrative, but that's not where the conclusion is and the reveal.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, why would he throw the game? You know, it's like he's going to pay him off. They're going to split the winnings. It's like Scott isn't like that, So that'd be Sandy and Billy talking to each other. But then what would be the reason then? Because if it's not gambling, then who would kill Ed, and how does that connect to the football game in total?
Right. Could have something to do with land or
oh, interesting, because we're actually, the fundraiser is supposed to be about the football pitch itself, the field.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at films like Chinatown, like it's about the water commissioner drowning during a drought, like, you know,
Yeah.
these kind of things. And one thing actually that I learned while I was doing my when I was writing a bit more of thriller mystery stuff is I would get so deep into what the plot is, and it took me so long, and eventually I went, that's not really what matters anyway in these kind of things. It's all about the tone and the feel and the characters. So I don't really care if this is like oh my God, it's an amazing mystery, because some of the best thriller mystery ones, I'm like, I can't even remember what it was, or it wasn't that unique of a twist anyway. It was just how you got there was the fun part, and you're following these characters. So I think we're kind of plot heavy, where we should be following her journey as she kind of discovers this from being a lunch lady. Like, she's basically been charged. She's suspicious for having her ex-husband show up in her refrigerator, and she wants to get out of that. So she's going to start following her own clues to try to figure out what happened, and starting to investigate Scott himself. You know, so that'd be where I think she would go to with her investigation.
Yeah. But also we have to think about just from a character and thematic standpoint, what that does, why she needs to do this.
Well, probably to clear her own name, right? Because maybe
maybe
it's after a bit they start thinking it might have been her daughter. So that's even like, now she wants to clear her daughter's name. Maybe her daughter's actually arrested
for killing her father.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, you say you give her a reason. Like, what else would we have to have her as a protagonist follow this, like, to dig into this case again?
Well, I think it's also just thematically, she's a woman who's never been respected for her talents. So I think that has to play into it, into you know, just her earning respect, and not just being, you know, she's more than just the lunch lady.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is to clear, you know, if it's to clear her name, her daughter's name, but also in the bigger picture of character growth, is that she needs to be respected. You know, maybe she's not respected. She's a lunch lady. Her daughter sees her as the lunch lady. Everybody just sees her as the lunch lady.
Okay.
So by the end, she needs to be seen for herself as something, you know, like that she now is respected.
Okay. So that's basically like her arc. She needs to pull herself out of I am more, is basically like her thing, which was what she
or
wanted.
Maybe she doesn't believe she's more than the lunch lady, you know, and maybe that's what it is.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that, but we do want her looking into this case, though, right? Like that's her action, like her actual actions that she's going to be taking after being grilled by this the sheriff or this detective about why this guy ended up in her fridge. Like they have no evidence as such for her, so she's a suspect. And then she puts it onto Scott, who's also a suspect, and that she feuds with her daughter about this. And then is it her daughter that's trying to push her to like clear Scott's name, or she wants to find out if it was Scott indeed?
Well, we said that the daughter also is a suspect, right?
Well, we're inventing this, like, so. Like,
but I mean, in our invention,
like one option to really push to kind of put a bit more drama into the mix is if there is a clue that sets up that Sandy might have done it, and then she's actually detained. So now it's like, well, a lot of the evidence does point to Sandy, and then they're going, we're getting to the point where the cops are satisfied that they've caught the right person. And now Billy has to go, no, I know for a fact it wasn't Sandy. So I have to go find the real person because nobody's searching for them. And the answer lies somewhat with this meeting between Scott and Dead Ed.
Right. So does somebody else get killed? Do we have another suspect that ends up dead?
We can. I personally like that because it gives us more to play with.
Yeah.
And ups the stakes a little bit from this once-off thing to like, oh, there's people from the fundraising committee keep dying, which is so stupid and silly, but I like it personally.
Yeah, and they keep ending up in the cafeteria kitchen.
Yeah, I like it. And then the other people on the fundraising committee are like, dude, I just wanted my team to get to the finals. Like, they're like, I don't know what's going on, but he kind of puts it together, I
mean, maybe
a bit of fun.
Maybe at some point the coach is a suspect.
Interesting.
And he ends up dead.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Like, for me, that seems fun. That seems quirky. I really like sticking them in the fridge, like sticking them in the kitchen constantly, because she's like, "What? God damn it! Like, why do they keep stop putting them in here?" You can have so
then
much
of course
too.
They shut down the kitchen, so now she doesn't even have that. Like the one thing that she thought she had, they've shut it down for an investigation.
Yeah.
So she can't even make lunch.
And they would for like sanitary reasons. Like, there's like a lot of dead bodies in here. The kids don't want to be eaten. Like, they don't want to eat the food from the place. Before that happens,
she comes in having cooked lunch, and every kid has brought a brown paper bag lunch.
Yeah. I could see if there was like 3 deaths or so, like after the second one, there she is like putting another bolt, like a security lock on the door, which is so silly because she's trying to keep murderers from disposing of dead bodies in her kitchen. So she's like really beefing up the security, which seems so peculiar. It's like, what you doing, Billy? And she's like trying to keep the dead bodies out of the kitchen. Great.
Yeah, and then the cops come in and they want to know what she's doing, and they think that she's trying to tamper with evidence or something, and now she's a suspect.
Yeah, so it looks like she's trying to keep them from getting out. And she's like, no, I don't want to keep people from getting out. I'm trying to keep the murderers from getting in.
Right.
It's not about them. It's about the kids. It's all about the kids. I want them to be safe. But I like eventually shutting the kitchen down. Yeah, that makes sense. You have the classic tropes of these kind of detective stories. So she'd probably try to sneak into somebody's house, end up in a closet at some point, hiding, these kind of things.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that could happen at Scott's house, where she goes to like figure out clues, and she's bumbling because she has no clue what she's actually doing, and then ends up hiding in the closet.
Or she does it at the coach's house, and then that's where she discovers him dead.
Oh, interesting. Hiding in the pantry. Because why would she be in a closet? Yeah. She'd most likely be in the pantry.
Yeah.
And that's where she finds him.
Yeah.
So she hides in the pantry.
She's like going through it's like one of those big pantries, and she's going through getting ideas for recipes, and then all of a sudden there's a hand.
Yeah, and he just falls out. And she's like, God, it's kind of Coen Brothers-esque with the random repetition of one specific thing. Like they love that with dialogue, a bit of visual comedy. But having these dead bodies always appear in kitchens with her is just driving her absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the world's trying to tell me something.
Yeah. So then, do we want to say that we have the committee? We have Ed ends up dead, and as they start looking into it, probably the coach ends up dead, and then are we saying there's a third one as well, a third murder?
I think that there's not a third one, but I think she becomes what would be the third victim.
Okay.
So she's now in danger.
Interesting. And she doesn't know why. And it's fine that we don't know why. I think it's more fun for us to kind of explore this rather than sit at the end and work backwards. I think it's funner to kind of follow her thread of mystery and see if we can tie it all together at the end. Because again, it's one thing I learned with mysteries is like I spent too much time on the plot. And then once I started playing with the character more and just figuring out unique scenarios, it all just tied together so much nicer. And I was like, I never came up with that shocking, never done before mystery. It's like, who cares? Like people want to have a good time. That's great. So she ends up in the coach's house. He ends up dead. And then is there a clue on him then or something that ties to the deeper mystery, or are we going to go with her daughter gets arrested because there's a clue that ties the daughter into it? Do we want to go that route or do we want to skip that?
Yeah, I don't know if the daughter makes it, but I think at this point, the biggest suspects are definitely Scott and Billy.
Scott and Billy. Okay.
Yeah. Because now you have the biggest booster killed. You have the coach. They're both the opposing team. We know that he's had an argument. Maybe there's something that ties Scott specifically to the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because why does Billy go into the coach's house? There has to be something there. Like, does she still suspect Scott all along? And something she sees. I think
she would naturally do that until she finds out. Like it's kind of like in Scream where they suspect Billy Loomis, even though like it's proven it wasn't him, but they're still suspicious of him. Turns out it was him, but still the boyfriend is always suspicious. I think it is that kind of way where it's like it hasn't been proven and confirmed that it wasn't him, so she's always going to be on her guard. And I think eventually he could save her, which kind of gives her this moment where she accepts him as a viable suitor for the daughter.
Oh yeah, maybe she's kind of chasing him. She thinks he's caught her and is going to kill her.
Yeah.
And then the twist is that he's actually there to save her
from
whoever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. They're here. And it might involve the booster of the rival team. That was something that just popped in my mind. If we've got a big benefactor for her high school team,
right.
Who's the benefactor for theirs, and how can he kind of tie in? He doesn't have to be the one who does it, but he could easily be somebody who they can have fun investigating. And he kind of feels like another Ed, where she's like, oh God, there's two of them.
Yeah.
There's
Ted.
Always an Ed. Yeah, Ted. It's one of these carbon copies. You're like, good Lord, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fun.
Yeah. Of course, we haven't introduced him. And does he become, do we introduce him as more like the false ally in the story?
I think we introduce him in the during the case. So while they're investigating, they're putting their suspects together, and they're like, "What about Ted?" And she's like, "Who's Theodore?" It's like Theodore, like, "Oh, Big Ted," And she's like, "Who's that?" And then she goes and meet this person, and she hasn't met this person before, and she's like, "Good Lord, like this guy," and he is like everything she hated about Ed, and it's like the same kind of qualities.
Oh yeah, maybe she has to go because they shut down the cafeteria. She goes to the opposing school to apply for a job.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But it's really to, she's doing it more to get information.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's
so. So what could it be then? Like, I mean, could it be, you mentioned Chinatown, which actually I thought of Chinatown when I brought up the stepbrother and stepsister idea. But
yeah.
Is it some kind of a land thing? Maybe there's a battle for this land in which, maybe both teams want to build a new football stadium or something, or just or maybe it's not even related directly to the team, but I don't know.
Is it like a zoning thing where actually the school could be torn down and relocated, so they're actually going to lose the school? And it's like the ultimate, like Ed's ultimate betrayal is he's involved with like turning it into it turns into a shopping mall. Like they've actually the land the school is built on, or where the football team is built on, is actually could be going elsewhere, or somebody else could be taking over that area. A deal could be made to relocate the school. The school's falling apart anyway, so that's part of the reason why they're doing the fundraiser. It's not just the football field. The school is in absolute bits. It's been there for generations, or for decades at least. And then it turns out that one of the biggest betrayals Ed could have done is he's been organizing some like real estate deals, and Ted or whatever, it could be buying the land. So the rival's biggest booster was actually going to assume control of the land of the high school, tear it down. They're going to rebuild the high school somewhere else, fresh and new. But where that sacred football ground was going to be turned into some kind of shitty restaurant chain or shopping mall
where Billy can now become a chef.
yeah.
Maybe. I think we need to establish what that argument was, because on the surface it could be that dad was being protective of his daughter and yelling at the football, but it was something bigger that they were arguing about.
Yeah. Well, Scott could have found out something, and he's been keeping this a secret. So it could have been Scott finding out that the truth about his rival's team, and he's actually a good guy, but he's been framed as a bad guy. I mean, framed as in character-wise, not like police profile-wise. But he could be framed as a bad person, but that's just the rivalry of a high school kind of relationship.
Yeah. Or Scott somehow found out about what was going on and threatened to tell Sandy, what her father was doing.
Yeah, that's why I think it should be. So we should keep it simple. Like we need to, because we're doing this off the top of our heads, clearly. But
right.
That's clean. Like,
yeah.
He finds out and he confronts him that night over what the plan is and what he's doing, and that's what the argument is. And then Ed ends up dead. But who killed Ed?
Ted.
Ted did.
Ted killed Ed.
Yeah, Ted killed Ed. Ted killed Ed. So why did Ted kill Ed then?
Yeah. Something I think Ed found out something that he was going to expose Ted. Ted was doing something. Maybe he stole.
It could be simple, like complicated, like these things usually get swirly and complicated. But it could be that Ed organized. He was with his actual day job, because we can reestablish that. But he was organizing like how that high school ground was going to be. The high school was going to be torn down, and the land itself was going to go to Ted. And that was the idea, until he was basically blackmailing or double crossing Ted after the fact. And to stop that, Ted had Ed killed so Ted could continue with the deal and not lose it to Ed because of various shenanigans. And something as simple yet mysteriously complicated as that. So It was a deal between the rival boosters that went bad.
And then how did the coach get involved? We have to, because he gets killed too. So somehow the coach, maybe the booster or Ted was going to hire the coach away, and the coach blackmailed him or something, or.
Yeah. I mean, is the coach that actually his job? Or does he have another job? Because he could be.
That would be his job.
He could be involved in the deal as well. No.
Yeah.
Again, keep it simple. Like the coach, so the coach itself, of Billy's high school team. Now, is he involved in the transaction? He's in on it, or does he find out about it and they get rid of him right before the deal goes through? That could be like how we handle that murder.
Right. I think he probably came in later.
On which side?
On whatever the deal was, or I don't know if he would have known about it. I don't know.
Is he part of the deal, or did he find out about the deal and he opposes it?
I think he probably found out about the deal and figured out, maybe he figured that Ted had something to do with Ed's death. Maybe he blackmailed him.
Oh, I got it. He's the one who introduces the blackmail scheme.
The coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a deal that's going through that Ed is happy to do. And then the coach comes in with some information and a scheme for how they can screw Ted over. So he comes in going like, oh, it can be ours then afterward. Yeah, you get this deal forward, but then it'll be ours. And because of that, they both end up dead.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So then we'll kind of zip through some scenarios now of how we kind of get Sandy through this mix. So she starts investigating Scott because she believes that he is involved somehow. Turns out he is. He's cautious about what to say because it's kind of he doesn't know how far it goes and who can kind of get wrapped up into this and who can get in trouble. Like, he is a student after all, so he doesn't really want to reveal too much, and he doesn't really know the height of it. He just knows that Ed was involved in some kind of deal that he shouldn't have been involved in, or the high school. There was something involving the land itself, but he doesn't really want to tell that to, or maybe Sandy just doesn't give him the chance. She doesn't believe him, so she never wants to hear his explanation, but she wants to find out. So she starts investigating him. That leads to, how does she get to the coach then? I suppose maybe Scott puts her on to the coach being involved. Because if we want her to sneak into the coach's house,
maybe she's following Scott, who goes to the coach's house.
Oh, yes, obviously. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Scott's doing his own investigation and she's following him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's also like, oh, so you're with the fundraiser. What are you going to do? Join our school? Like, she's so off base. Or she's like, are you transferring to our school? Like, you're with the fundraiser. And also, okay, so this is interesting too. So she followed Scott to the coach's house and the coach ends up dead. That looks even worse for Scott, who's now been seen with the two people who ended up dead.
Right.
He's been around them and their house basically at each point where they died, which is quite nice. So she could be really suspicious of him, which puts more friction on her relationship with Billy, who, that is Billy, with Sandy, to find out, like, puts more friction on her relationship with her daughter, because the daughter's like, he's innocent. She's like, he's been around two dead bodies. I've two scenarios where he shows up at men's houses or he's around men and they end up dead. This is more than a coincidence, you know?
And then she says, yeah, and so have you.
Yeah. You don't need to be a Michelin chef to follow these ingredients. Sweet. So then, yeah, now she's also back with the police. I like that in these mysteries where the police keep meeting the person, going like, you again? Like,
yeah.
Can you stay out of trouble? Like, we've shut your kitchen. Can you just stay out of trouble? Like, stop showing up in kitchens with dead bodies. Is basically the deal.
Yeah.
So then where does she go from there? Then does she confront Scott probably? And at some point, do they kind of, oh no, this is where you were saying how he could save her. That could be interesting, because now we have to get to Ted.
Right.
So maybe it's one of Ted's men that is sent. Like, maybe Ted isn't the one doing the killing, but he's kind of got some people involved in the deal. And one of them goes to attack her because she's been sniffing around them. Scott saves her, which is surprising for her. And then he kind of lays some cards on the table, and that kind of gets us a bit deeper.
What if it's the other way around? She suspects Scott, and then just as she's about to confront him, he gets kidnapped, and she has to save him.
I like it.
So that makes her more active, not react, or more proactive, not passive. Yeah,
no, I like it. And because she doesn't trust him, that puts a little bit of a conscience on her plate, where she's like, you don't even like him, and she's like, there. So she does save him. Yeah. And that's when they should have a chat and they actually talk for real, and she gets some clues. And obviously if there's a mystery, we'd set things up in advance. I get it.
Right.
This is what you do in Storybreakers terms. Like, we'll go, set something up in the past, and then she can have this confrontation with him where it turns out he's actually a really nice guy. He's not just a rival from the high school. He's not just a boy who's into her daughter. He's actually a really nice guy who's just trying to find the truth like she is.
Right.
And then somehow that gets us to Ted, basically. I think we're kind of getting to that level now, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I can probably, doesn't matter if we do, because obviously mysteries are a bit more complicated, but what kind of hook could we have that's connected to football or cooking or something that they can kind of find that gets us to this Ted character, or a vital piece of evidence that kind of reveals the whole scheme?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's a lunch lady. What can she use? Or she's a chef. How can we have her use some of the skills involved with that to maybe it's like one of those Agatha Christie, let's get everybody in a room together and she caters it, or
she caters. Yeah, I like that.
She makes the dinner.
She can be like an expert at taking basically like the throwaway parts of of food and making really nice dishes out of it, right? So like what people might think is waste, she'll always turn into like a really nice culinary achievement. And that could play into the evidence is actually in a bin somewhere, or something that seemed innocuous turns out to actually have the real value in it. So it kind of plays with her concept of you're throwing out the good part, and you just never knew that was the good part of your food, you know? So it's like, we don't eat that. It's like, no, but you can turn that into something nice. And so the evidence that she finds that they get was in the trash, because people didn't realize that that's actually the linchpin that could kind of seal the fate of the people who did it. And it kind of ties into who she is as a chef, who doesn't like to waste things. And there's too much waste in cooking, and she's the one who can always find something of value in something that people would just throw away.
Yeah. So how do we turn that into the climax? Because now we're at the climax, pretty much, right?
Well, yeah, that's how she gets the evidence. And honestly, I don't care about what the evidence is. Like, let's be frank.
Right.
Like, we're not getting that. I'm just saying how she gets it. Like, it could tie into her attitude for finding a way to reuse what other people think is waste. And it could honestly be the Agatha Christie, bring everybody together. She cooks them a meal and then confronts them going, I know who did it. Or she's going to find out who did it. Like in The Thin Man, he actually, the 1933 film with William Powell, I think he brings everybody together for a dinner. And he's like, the killer is in this room, and he has a pretty decent idea of who it is, but he has to ask some questions to like figure it out, or to like really clarify it. Kind of feel like we could be at that territory, since she's catered for an event at the start.
Right.
And she's got all these buffoons and goofballs that have been bouncing around the community. We can set all that up in an actual draft. And then she does the scene where people are eating, and she's got like, one of us like is the murderer, and there's a bit of back and forth between the guests, you know. And she kind of walk people through the complicated history of what happened, and revealing that it's this land deal, and the high school was basically going to be condemned and torn down, and Ed was the one who was actually brokering the deal, and the rival was going to buy the land, but he was blackmailed, and he would have been screwed over. So it was Ted all along. It was the rival, that kind of thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to wrap it.
Yeah. So in the end, it was Ted. Ted killed Ed, which is it's really funny on its own, you know. I mean, then you could have a final like he escapes, because if you want to have that last little push, he could be like a little chase that happens. Maybe he confronts her and chases her. What I'm trying to do is get them into the kitchen again, where it looks like somebody's going to die in a kitchen. She's like, not again, like no more deaths in the kitchen. But eventually they can arrest Ted and he's taken away. Just something to have that last minute kind of action beat, but also play on this thing where maybe he's got like a knife and he's holding it to her and she's like, you're not killing, like there's not going to be another dead body in the kitchen, you know? And then you can get your lunches served line somehow.
I got to get that line in, yeah.
So then in the end then, are we saying that Ted and his accomplices are discovered and they're brought to justice, and then Sandy and Scott have been given the blessing by Billy to be together, because throughout this mystery, she also discovered that the quarterback is a really nice guy and deserves a daughter.
Yeah, and because ultimately Billy saved the school and everything, do the boosters, invest in a restaurant for her, or somehow how does she get her cafe in the end or something, or is being the lunch lady enough?
It's a good question. I don't know. I actually really like the idea that because there's fundraisers involved and she saved the school, that maybe you get a bit of both, where some people come up and talk to her about investing, like, we'd love to hear more about your idea, and maybe this is where she can choose to walk with them or say no thank you, like I have a kitchen already, you know. So
or is it both? Does she finally get to make the food she wants for the kids? So instead of the spaghetti Friday, Monday pizza, greasy pizza, she actually gets to cook for the kids.
Yeah, so they upgrade her kitchen in the school. Yeah. They have a fundraiser for the kitchen, the high school cafeteria, which is quite cute. Because I like the idea that she doesn't get like the dream restaurant. She can choose that her life was quite nice. She just needed an upgrade in her equipment, and we could set all that stuff up at the top. But that could be quite fun.
Yeah, and it still shows that she now has, the thing that she lacked was, the confidence to, what was the original pain of hers was that she wasn't respected.
Yeah.
She didn't really respect herself. That's why she just took a job as a lunch lady, but now she's earned everybody's respect, including her own respect, self-respect.
Yeah, and they respect her so much that they're going to give her the equipment she thinks she says she needs in order to do her job well.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we'll give you.
But with a new refrigerator, because the other one's got too many memories of dead body.
It's got a little stink in there.
Yeah.
No, I like it. No, I think definitely a mystery is difficult to do in this circumstance, but I think we got there.
Yeah.
It wraps up quite nicely with her character, the relationships around them, and this reoccurring deaths in a kitchen kind of thing. That could be fun. But that's it.
And I got my line in.
And you got your line in. Lunch is served.
Lunch is served.
This is your just desserts. Yeah. Great. I mean, sometimes we don't think of a name because it's really tough, but the lunch lady just kind of is striking me immediately as a title.
Yeah.
The lunch lady. Feels like something you see on Netflix.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I think we came up with a good one.
Yeah. I think so. All right. So that was the end of it. So that's The Lunch Lady, a comedy mystery thriller set in the 80s about a lunch lady who gets pulled into a criminal conspiracy that has members of the community dropping left, right, and center. And she has to use her cunning wit and a bit of her expertise to dish out the truth.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So that's a wrap on today's episode. Michael, thank you so much for joining. Hope to have you back again. We'll do another one. Maybe something sooner, maybe something around Christmas, since that's a few weeks away.
Yeah, sure.
And guys, thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. If you like this, please press the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. Also, drop a comment down to give us some feedback on this episode, or if you have ideas for future Storybreakers, we'd love to hear it, even if it's just a genre idea, things like that. Or what we used to do in the old series actually was we would request, just give us a location for a death in a next episode or a horror film, and people would just throw unique scenarios or weapons to us that we'd have to incorporate naturally and organically in the next episode. But yeah, let us know in the comments below. Once again, Michael, thank you for coming, dropping by and breaking story with us. And for everybody else, have a great time, and I'll see you next time for another Storybreakers.